345 milliards.
Ah oui.
Every last second there of Jeffrey Osborne on the Wings of Love. And I was spinning that for Pam and her fella Stan, busy celebrating their anniversary in Waterlooville, and they say that after 25 years of marriage, they're still blissfully happy. Oh, well, I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll play that also for Leslie Gifford in Uttoxeter. Leslie, your partner, Hassan, sent us a lovely email, and yesterday he says he absolutely loves your dad bod. You'll always be his favourite cuddle bear. He says he knows things have been a bit rocky between the pair of you recently, but he's very sorry, and he wants to spend all this weekend making it up to you. Remember Paris? And all of you out there, remember this is me, your very own Graham Hinge, on the Friday Night Love Line, here till 4, helping you make it through the night, and easing you into Saturday morning, with the very best mix of romantic songs on the radio. Songs chosen by our lovely listeners. Listeners like you, on line 1. Caller, what's your name, please? You already know my name. I'm afraid I don't, my friend. Oh, well, I told it to the lady I just spoke to. I assumed she would have passed it on. She already asked me what song I wanted to... Don't give all our secrets away, caller. That's producer Genevieve. Oh, so she didn't pass it on. Oh, okay, well, the name's Colin then. Colin Go-to-Bed. Colin Go-to-Bed? No, thank you. I have trouble sleeping. Oh, right, sorry. Sorry, go to bed. Wow, that's an unusual surname you've got there, Colin. Where's it from? From my dad, I suppose. Well, that's how it came to me, anyway. Right. Colin, I can tell we're going to have fun with you, my friend. Where are you from, fella? Corby, Graham. North Hants. Ah, lovely. Corby, beautiful part of the world. Just off the A43. Home of the trouser press, am I right? Yeah, that's right, yes. So, Colin calling from Corby. You're through to the love line. What can I do you for, fella? Well, I'd like to play a song for Doris, please. Doris, and is she the lucky lady in your life, Colin? She is, Graham, yes. She's lovely. We listen to your show every Friday without fail. Thanks, loyal listeners. And tell me, Colin, how did the two of you and Doris, get together? We met at work, Graham. Oh, workplace romance. Yes, that's right. And do you know, Graham, the moment I first clapped eyes on her, I knew she was the one. Oh, Colin, you silver-tongued charmer. She's lovely, Graham. She really is. So, what was it about the delightful Doris that first got those juices flowing, fella? Well, obviously there was the initial instant physical attraction. That's usually first, isn't it? Well, you tell me, caller. Well, right from when she came in, I noticed she had a lovely figure, you know, well-proportioned, nice pins, bosomy. Whoa, steady on there, Colin. And naturally beautiful. But then, when she was dolled up, makeup and nails on point, as the youngsters say, nice hair, face, very soft skin, and just wow, took my breath away. Sexy lady. But very classy. A mature lady, of course. Ain't nothing but a number. But absolutely stunning, Graham. Like a fine wine. Just gets better with age. And good fun, too. Up for anything, you know. Ah, a cougar. Oh, bless you, Graham. No, a cougar. A live wire. A pantherus. On the quiet side, actually. Well, you know what they say, Colin. Still waters run deep. But a very good listener. I'm getting soulmate vibes. And it was that, really, you know, that brought us together. It can be quite lonely, working nights. Work the graveyard shift myself, friend. I hear you, fella. So it was nice to have someone there. Someone I felt I could really talk to. Someone to pour your heart out to. Someone who wasn't going to judge me or criticise. Someone who let me talk and, you know, seemed really interested in what I had to say. Eh? Sorry, Brian, I missed that bit. Go on. It hasn't always been like that for me. You know, what with me being a bit different. What some people might term strange. And people people can be quite cruel, you know. It wasn't like that with Doris.
Well, she sounds like a very kind-natured soul, your Doris. A bit of a keeper, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, she is, and very patient and receptive. I've always tended to be a bit cautious around females, Graham. I'm a bit of a late bloomer, you might say, all things being equal. It takes me a while to summon the nerve. And even then it's hard, you know, finding the right person.
And then you met Doris.
Yes, and to her immense credit, she was very patient. She wasn't the type to force the issue, you know, when it came to the physicals. She let me take my time, which is what I need. Just let me lay with her at first, lay alongside her, you know, touching her, holding her.
Spoons?
No cutlery involved, just using my hands. And you know, as we lay together, she started to warm up. I became more relaxed, less stiff.
Not always a good sign, fella.
Well, no, but pretty soon things started moving in the right direction all the same.
Oh, hello.
We were just looking into each other's eyes, like we were staring into each other's souls. And her lips were inviting me to, you know.
It started with a kiss.
Yes, very much so. And well, really, quite quickly, one thing led to another.
Mr. Boombastic.
And a gentleman never tells, as they say. But, well, I want to tell my Doris that I really appreciate the very considerate, willing, giving partner she's been.
She's an easy lover, am I right? Easy like a Sunday morning.
Yes, and to thank her for being such a special lady.
Once, twice, 3 times, huh?
You see, after that first night, I knew we were destined to spend the rest of our lives together, you know.
She was your first, your last, your everything.
Well, not quite my first. We had to act quick, before they tried to take her away from me.
But they could never tear you apart.
I had to run away with her, whisk her off.
So what was the trouble, chap? Her family didn't approve.
No, I don't suppose they would have.
No?
No, I think they'd be quite angry, you know.
Right.
When it all comes out. It couldn't last, you see. Me and Doris.
Oh, no, Colin. Don't go breaking my heart.
I've tried my best to keep things going, keep things fresh.
Buying her flowers, writing her poetry, phoning in with a dedication on the Friday night love line.
Well, refrigeration mainly.
But
since I left work, I haven't been able to pay the bills. And eventually they turned the electricity off. And that's when things really started to fall apart. I'm having to listen to you on a battery-powered radio, Graham.
I'm not sure I follow you, fella.
We always listen to the love line, especially with the trouble I'm having lately. Sleeping. But, well, Doris, she's not looking too good recently. The neighbours have been round.
Colin?
About the smell. So it's only a matter of time now. God help me, I can't go back inside. But it's all right, see. I've made myself a special Horlicks, and I'm going to drink it, cuddled up with my darling Doris. What's left of her. While you play our song, Graham.
What did you say you did for a living again, Colin?
I didn't even tell the lady. Anyway, boys to men, end of the road, please, Graham.
Sorry, Genevieve's making signals at me. You said you met Doris at work. Where did you work?
Assistant at a funeral director's, Graham. Not everyone's idea of a dream job. And I had to tell a few porkies to get it. After what happened last time.
Graham, put a record on.
It's where I met and fell in love with my beautiful...
Goddamn limey radio. Mind if we turn it off? It's all just noise after a while. And I figure maybe we should talk. You believe in love at first sight. I didn't. Not until these past few weeks, anyway. Hell, I wasn't even sure I believed in love. I suppose, in my line of work, it doesn't do to form too many attachments. You never know when... Well, you know what I do for a living. But this life, it chose me. I didn't choose it. And I guess it's that's been gnawing away at me, eating me up inside. There must be more than this. You know what I'm saying? It's a lonely life. Oh, I've had flings, mostly one-night stands. It's kind of easy when you've got money. Hey, I don't need to tell you, right? But yeah, it's lonely. It's a lonely life. And I'd gotten used to it. I realize that now. I realize I was sort of letting what I do, define me. See, I spent a lot of time on the road. A lot of time traveling. And I got to listening to audiobooks just for company. Just to hear another human voice. Yeah, I'm not much of a reader, but I can listen real good. Well, attentiveness goes with the territory, so... Anyway, I got into these self-help books, in a really big way, really big. Something about the title spoke to me. Unmasking the Mask, revealing the you that hides behind you. You know when something just resonates? I mean, like, I've literally worn masks. Well, I started eating this shit up. Especially this one chick, this Sarah D'Angelo. I'll admit, it was the voice that drew me in. Very soothing, very relaxing. Like a warm bath. And I can be a little tense, a little cold, as you know. But she had some real smart stuff to say. Oh, this Sarah, she's a smart lady, goes without saying. Laser focused, very clever, real successful. And her books have, they sort of changed my way of thinking about myself. 'Cause I was, let's just say I wasn't in a good place. Get this. This is from one of her books. Don't shh your inner child. They're only asking to be heard. When I heard that, it was like boom, brain explodes. That's like me. Like my whole life I've been telling my inner child to shut the goddamn hell up. But it stopped me from growing, prevented me from becoming a nicer person. Here's another thing she said. You cannot control the narrative others write about you, but you can choose the font. How about that, huh? See? You think I'm this, but I'm actually this, and this. Now, this is so true. Growth feels uncomfortable because your old self has never been this big before. Ouch. Ooh-wee. See what I mean about being laser focused now? She gets right to the heart of the matter, doesn't she? Listening to her books, I felt seen. Know what I'm saying? After so long in the shadows, I realize I've spent a lifetime aiming, but never at myself. And I suppose the most profound effect her books have had on me is that they opened me up to the idea of love. What is it she said? Every morning you have a choice. Contract into fear or expand into possibility. She opened me up to the possibility of love. and the self-belief, that I'm a person who can be loved, that I'm worthy of love. Listen to me. Here I am telling you all this. You've never had a problem getting love, am I right? You've never been lonely. Hell, you've had more love than you ever deserved. And you've squandered it, every drop. I know. I know all about you. You see, it's funny, but I met the love of my life just a few weeks ago. And I gotta thank you, Daryl, for introducing us. Without you, we never would have met. When I took the job, I didn't know, see? I didn't make the connection. There you were, just another rich guy cheating on his frigid bitch of a wife, willing to pay me to make his problems go away. Same old story. Plays out over and over again. In this case, she had her own money too, so that had all come to you down the line. You had this watertight alibi, golfing vacation, and you wanted me to make it look like some kind of mafia hit. And that's why I didn't make the connection, not straight away, because I thought I was dealing with a Mr. Curtis and his wife, Mrs. Curtis. And this is where I ought to read more. Because you see, if I'd have looked at the back of my CDs, the text they have on the back, I'd have known that she wrote under her maiden name, D'Angelo. And it would have told me how she'd moved from California to live with her husband in Kent, England. Well, I had the wire ready. Just like we discussed, I was gonna garrote her from behind, Mrs. Curtis. But luckily I saw the photo on the mantel shelf and thought, hey, I know that face. And then, well, she was startled. I mean, that's fair to say, right? I mean, like, who wouldn't be? But then that voice, like a warm bath. I said, love at first sight. I suppose I ought to have said, love at first sound. Well, naturally, when I realized it was my favorite author, Sarah D'Angelo, I wasn't going to kill her. I couldn't. I mean, you understand, right? This woman, your wife, I'm kind of allergic to hyperbole, but she sort of saved my life with her books. So, well, we got to talking, me and her. Once I'd explained everything and she calmed down. And let me tell you, she told me all about you, about your countless affairs, about your psychological abuse, about how you made her feel lousy. I'll be honest, it sort of shocked me because, well, hey, here's this woman who seemed to have her life all figured out, and she's with this guy, this dumb schmuck, who wants to do her in, just so he can get hitched to some broad with big hooters. This goddamn English weather. Son of a... Anyway, long story short, I know it's not the most romantic start to a love affair. But the more we talked, the more we found we had this connection. And then, while you were away, busy playing with your golf buddies, fooling around with floozies or whatever it was you were getting up to out there, me and Sarah, sorry to break it to you, buddy, we became intimate. Like, repeatedly. In every room of the house. Pretty much every surface. For hours and hours. I mean, whew! Damn, your wife is white hot, Daryl. And then, that night, during one of our brief intervals, I remember it was raining like it is now, and we were lying there together, listening to the rain pitter-patter on the window. And we were talking, or she was talking. Man, I love to hear her talk, that voice. And that's when we hatched this plan, this kidnapping. Only, I mean, it's not a kidnapping, because, as it happens, you're never coming back. But it's gotta look like a kidnapping, a ransom job. See if we can't squeeze some cash out of your old man. Well, it was her idea. In fact, I almost talked her out of it. I said, but wait a minute, what was it you said in one of your books? Revenge is grief wearing a costume? You know what she told me? She said most of what she writes is total BS, and I shouldn't believe a word of it. How about that? She actually thinks your suffering is going to be excellent therapy for her. Kind of funny when you think about it, huh? Listen, I just want you to know what happens when we get to the lockup. It's nothing personal, not on my side anyway. Like I said, I really have you to thank for bringing me and Sarah together. But well, we gotta make it look like a real kidnap, so please, Daryl, you gotta believe me. I told her, I said, usually they start just by cutting off a finger. Most often the pinky. But man, you must have really pissed her off, because she wants me to start with a different body part of yours altogether. And she told me I'm to take my time and film it. I'm sorry, bro, but relationships are all about compromise. Am I right? Oh, look at that. We had a right storm last night. Nigel the gnome's toppled off his toadstool, broke his rod again, and one of the bronze herons has tipped over and squashed me crocuses. Oh well, I shan't mind that now. In a couple of months we ought to have some good weather again, and I shall be able to get back into the garden. Whatever would Mother say if she could see the state of it now? She wouldn't be happy, that's for sure. It's my fault, of course, for letting it get that bad. I've had a lot on my mind lately. Been at my wit's end, truth be told. And that's all my fault too. Well, what was I thinking? Going back on the dating scene at my age. There's no fool like an old fool. That's what they say, don't they? And I told my mother she were daft when they came round while I were out that day. Hello, dear, can we just check your plug sockets are working upstairs? And there they were up there, rifling through her drawers, taking her bank book and her jewellery. I said after, you knew the electricity was on, Mother. You were in the living room watching Titchmarsh. But that's what happens, isn't it, when you get older? There's folk out there who'll prey on your vulnerabilities, ready to exploit you because you're lonely. Well, I was lonely, I don't mind admitting it. Mother went, then Nigel, then Percy. If anything, he was the worst. I mean, you hear of some tortoises living 100 years or more. He barely made his second decade, bless. I had a good mind to try and ask for a refund, but the pet shop's closed down now and a Halfords has opened up. No, it's hard being on your own. I suppose I expected Nigel to keep going a bit longer than he did. It just seems so unfair, when Mother passed and we finally felt, able to live more as we would have liked. So he moved in with me and, well, I suppose we both thought that would be it then. Only then we found that lump. Well, he did. I didn't really know what I was looking at. And only that evening he'd been on the sofa, sat in his pants, eating popcorn, so let's just say it were a shock. That's one thing I didn't miss, mind. Nigel, love him. Well, he was the opposite to me in a lot of ways. And we did have our rows. Oh, we did. I take after Mother, see. House proud, fastidious. I like everything put away in its proper place. She was a stickler for things, my mother was. Even now I can't rest if I let a Sunday pass without giving the knobs a good seeing to with a tin of brasso and a J-cloth. Nigel would always say, "What are you wasting your time with that for? Come and sit down with me, I'll give you tootsies a rub." Silly really, isn't it? It didn't feel like wasted time back then. Anyway, it was this young lad, Owen, convinced me to give the dating apps a try. He's a nice lad, campers are all tentacles, and he sometimes does a shift with me at the Surada in town where I volunteer, you know. He said to me, "Leslie, there's someone for anyone on this app, even old buggers like you." I said, "Thanks very much." He said, "There's all sorts out there looking for love, you know. Or even just a bit of how's your father, if that's all you want." I said, No, it wouldn't be that for me. It'll be companionship I'm looking for, not like you lot, sex mad. No, someone to go to plays and films with, or, you know, for a long walk somewhere, or visit a stately home. Well, I had a couple's National Trust membership due to go out by direct debit, and I hadn't had the heart to cancel it. Or just someone to enjoy the garden with, I said. Well, he set it all up with me, showed me what to do. He were dead good at it, you know how these young ones are, swiping away left and right with his thumb. And I must admit, it were quite good fun, seeing all the people, you know. Like I say, I wasn't looking to replace my Nigel. You couldn't. It was more, you know, wanting someone to talk to, spend time with. And I'd started messaging this chap, about my age, Derek. And he seemed quite nice and genuine, so I told Owen, and he said, "Just go out with him, Leslie. Meet up for a drink. What's the worst that can happen?" So we arranged to meet, and I suppose one of the worst things that can happen happened. He didn't show up, didn't even send a text to let me know. And there I am, sat on me Jack Jones in the Prince Albert on a Friday night with a rum and coke, not knowing what to do with myself. And that's when I met Hassan. You know, it really was a case of eyes meeting across a crowded room, although I were actually trying to look past him through the window to see if my bus was due. He comes over to me, asked if I'm on my own. I said, "Well, it looks like it, doesn't it?" Asked if I'd like some company. I said, "I'm just about to leave." Says to me, "Don't go." I won't do his accent. Says to me, "If I buy him a drink, we can have some fun." I said, "All right, what kind of fun would that be? I know about your sort." He said, "Just talking." I said, "Well, as long as that's all it is." So I buy him a drink. And then another one. It was just nice to have some attention, you know, someone show a bit of interest. He was younger, but only by 20 years or so. You wouldn't think it to look at us together, but we had a fair bit in common. Well, neither of us was from Uttoxeter originally. I was from Chesterfield. He was from Turkey. He said where he came from, where he grew up, it was a bit difficult to be, you know, gay. And his parents wouldn't have understood, which is why he'd left in the first place in search of a better life. So you see, we weren't so very different, really. And here he was, in his own way, as lonely as me. You know, friends here and there, but no family. Said he'd just been bouncing from place to place. I said, "Well, lucky for you, I don't mind a drifter." He said, "I can tell," and pinched me tummy. I said, "Cheeky, they stopped making them about 5 years ago, so obviously you're not as young as you look." And that's how it started. I took him home with me. Don't look at me like that. He was just sleeping on a friend's sofa anyway. I said, "You might as well sleep on mine." But no, I meant to put him in the back bedroom. Honestly, I did. I felt sorry for him. He were dark and handsome, all right, but he weren't tall. Nothing on him, really. And he looked like he needed looking after. He had these big puppy dog eyes. And I've always had a soft spot for dogs. I've always said I'd have one myself, but I don't like the mess. All that hair and slobber everywhere. It was bad enough when my Nigel was alive. Well, like I say, Hassan didn't stay in the back bedroom long. Before I knew it, we were, what do they say, an item. But it were my own fault. There were red flags from the start. He had a very fast-growing beard, Hassan did, needed to shave at least twice a day, and I'd be forever going into the bathroom and finding his whiskers all over the sink. It was like someone had lain an Axminster in the basin, it were that thick. I said, "Just give it a rinse when you've done, Hassan," and he'd be like, Sure, Cuddle Bear, 1,000 apologies." I won't do his voice. Anyway, other than the untidiness, it were lovely, those first few months together. It was nice to have someone round the house again, you know. Hassan, well, being that bit younger, he sort of revitalised me in a way. Owen noticed. He said, "You know, Leslie, you've got a real spring in your step lately." I said, "Well, you're only as young as the young man you feel." We had a laugh about that one. I'd sometimes come home with clothes for him from Sue Ryder. If anything good came in, you know, a nice bomber jacket or some denims, I'd be on it like a hawk. I'd say, "I'll have that for Hassan." I don't think that were all. I suppose you'll think I was over the top with the gifts. I paid for city breaks in Munich, Barcelona, Paris. I bought him an electric shaver, the PlayStation he wanted, espresso machine. He wanted to set himself up as a barber, so I got hold of these fancy scissors and clippers. And then he was saying he'd like to be a taxi driver, so I paid for driving lessons, got him a car, just a little second-hand run around. But, you know, it's a lot. And I said, "You don't need to get a job. I can look after us both." I don't think he liked being dependent on me, you know. And I can understand it. Maybe I was a bit suffocating. The mother hen in me, you know. But it was the coffee grounds that first drove a wedge between us. He liked his coffee, see? Well, they do out there, don't they? And he were always putting his coffee grounds down the kitchen sink. And no matter how many times I told him, I said, "Knock down the plug hole, Hassan, take them outside and throw them on the compost." Puppy dog eyes again. "I just put them in the bin," he said. "No, Hassan, because they're hot and wet and they make everything smelly. Take them out to the compost." "But I'm wearing slippers, my feet'll get wet on the grass." Always an excuse. "Oh, just sling them on the herbaceous borders then, anywhere but down the bloody sink." Anyway, he wouldn't listen. Sometimes I think he were doing it deliberately just to spite me. Perhaps it was his little act of rebellion, you know. Either way, it was a bone of contention between us. I bought a compost caddy for the kitchen counter. I said, "See that? Compost caddy. Eggshells, fruit and vegetable peelings, coffee grounds in there." Well, do you know, it made my blood boil. I came in one day, coffee grounds down the sink again, opened up the caddy, Twix wrapper and a pepperami skin in there. Eventually, what I said would happen happened. Drain were blocked, pipe damage, emergency plumber. Hassan was out, so I'm the one getting the lecture. "You shouldn't put your coffee grounds down the sink, mate. If I had £1 for every time I get called out for this," I said, "you don't need to tell me." Hassan comes back, gives it the old puppy dogs again. I said, "It's not good enough, Hassan. You don't listen." He says, "I'll do better. I'll make it up to you." But he didn't. Things just got worse and worse. We weren't talking. We were sleeping in separate beds. We were both sulkers. I was lying up there one night, seething I were, and then I thought, hang on, I'm sleeping in the back bedroom in my own bloody home. I stormed into the master bedroom, my bedroom, and found him there, like Lord Muck, or the Sultan of Abu Dhabi, sat vaping, wearing Nigel's old dressing gown. I said, "How dare you wear that robe? You're not fit to wear that robe. Take it off." Well, that took the wind out of his sails, I dare say. I don't think he'd ever seen that side of me. What Nigel used to call the red mist. The temper I inherited from mother. Ooh, she had a temper all right. When she were younger, even when she were old, I had to stop her going after people with a stick. Anyway, we made up, Hassan and me. Things were okay for a while. He even started using the compost caddy properly for a week or two, and then it was back to grounds down the sink again. One night, he hurt me, though. He'd always going on about me weight. I said, "I'm not like you, Hassan. Generations of your lot with Mediterranean diet. It was all pie, chips and gravy when I was growing up. I'm big-boned." But he would go on until I got upset. Started crying. I said, "Don't you find me attractive anymore?" I said, "Of course I do, Cuddle Bear," he says. "I'm just worried about your health." But I don't know. Things weren't quite the same as they were before. We had some fallings out, some blazing rows. God knows what the neighbours must have thought. And then, after one fight about the coffee grounds again, he were all apologetic and he gave me a hug. It's the first time he'd held me in weeks. And he said, I promise I'll make it up to you." But the weeks that followed, though, he were out nearly all day, and every night I'd barely see him. And when I did, he'd be so tired and grumpy and uncommunicative, barely get a word out of him. I'd say, "Where have you been?" He said, I can't tell you." As I say, I were at my wit's end. I had my suspicions, of course. Has he got someone else? Anyway, one day I was speaking to Owen in the shop, and he said he'd seen Hassan on a night out, and he was sat in his car outside a club, and a load of fellas got in. Well, when he got back, it was early evening, and he looked dog-tired as usual, and I was waiting for him in the hall. "Hassan," I said, "what's going on?" He said, "Not now, Cuddle Bear, I'm tired. Give me coffee." I said, "So you can throw the grounds down the sink again? No coffee. I want answers, young man." Well, he just looked at me, all weary, pushed past me, heading into the kitchen. I caught him by the arm. "I want answers," I said. "What are you doing out all hours?" I was shaking him. I was that mad. He said, I can't tell you. Just chill, okay?" Oh, just chill. It's his answer to bloody everything. And he pulled away from me, took off his jacket, and instead of hanging it on the coat peg, he missed, and it dropped on the floor. He just left it there. And that was when it happened. That red mist. I leapt on him. Rugby tackled him to the ground. He fell and hit his head on the kitchen counter on the way down. It made a bloody great gash in his forehead. And I was ranting and raving, crying too, saying how much I resented all his jibes about my weight, and all the things I'd done for him that he took for granted, and all the bloody coffee grounds down the sink. I had him by the hair at the back of his head, and I smashed his face into the floor a few times. But that wasn't what... It was because he was so slight, you see, and... Well, I am on the heavy side. He suffocated under the weight of me. Outside it was just starting to rain. The storm were getting up. I know the right thing to do is to call the police. And I thought about it, I did. But where's the sense in it, really? There's the house to think about. I promised Mother I'd take care of it. It wasn't till some time after, that I found the card and the note in his jacket pocket. He'd wanted to surprise me, see? That's why he couldn't tell me what he were up to. The trip to Paris. It was all in the note. How he'd been doing a spot of taxiing, unlicensed, of course, saving up some money. And there were these 2 tickets for the Eurostar. An email printed out with the details of an Airbnb. There was a ring, too. I think perhaps I'm better on my own. Besides, give it a few months and it'll be time to get back in the garden. Tidy things up, make Mother proud. I've got a feeling it's going to be a good year for the garden. I've looked it up, see? How you can make exceptional compost from a dead body. Surprisingly quick as well. I'll plant something for Hassan, of course. Maybe a bearded iris as a tribute. I'll put him at the end, near where we buried the tortoise. It's a nice spot that gets the full sun. So I think he'll like it. You have been listening to Dead Romantic, Written and performed by Jasper L'Estrange. And well, I very much hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, I love you. And until next time, sweet dreams.